Right.
Yes, greetings. Good night. Hi, Mr. Lashley. How are you doing
Good night.
tonight?
How are you doing, sir?
Greetings, loyal opposition. I'm fantastic today. Thank you. But
Great.
yes, I'm from Vauxhall, so yeah, I know that area pretty well. Yeah, I actually ran into Mr. Lashley a couple of times also too in the community, and then eventually I had transition, and then it became the Christchurch ambassador, and that's where I also met him. We took some photos and stuff like that along around that time as well. So yeah,
So before we're going to get back to that, but
yeah.
because I want to know, well, you see, now I'm learning stuff. I had no idea, that this connection was here. So Zico, you saw that video, and I know how it made me feel only because I grew up in communities like that in Jamaica and worse. You also did in Vauxhall, and you heard those young people talking about it. What are your thoughts about something like that happening, in a community like Silver Hill?
Yeah, especially for Silver Hill, especially, they was craving something like that, was craving that kind of energy, that creative energy, something for the young people to do. Even looking at the video, I saw some familiar faces as well. So it was something that craving, it was something that they wanted and needed. And the initiative was really, really good. It got it on the way. Yes, there were a studio. I don't know if it's still active, but I know they were doing some music in that area. I'm not necessarily sure if that same particular space. But it just touched my heart. I mean, it really did touch my heart. I love to see stuff like that, especially for young people.
Because I know you do some work with young people on a Saturday.
Yes,
Just quickly
I do
tell us
some.
what you do.
Right, I do behavioral therapy. Also at the GIS for the kids who've been up there. I also do for at-risk kids at the Drug and Educational Counseling Services as well. And then also on a Wednesday, I do one-on-one counseling with young people. Also.
And I've done some successful programs. Any questions, comments, or concerns for the former minister?
Yes,
Zico?
definitely. Concerning also as well as it does the therapy as well. I also have a concierge business as well. So I bring in a lot of guests and we taking them on tours. We basically cater to them while they're here in Barbados. And one of the biggest concerns is the entertainment life within Barbados. I think the nightlife in Barbados is dying. I mean, it's the same three things basically. You were telling tourists to go Oystins, St. Nicholas Abbey, and basically that's basically it, like the Harrison Cave, and that's probably it. And if you're looking at returning guests coming back to Barbados, I think we need to improve, especially on the cultural side of Barbados. They wanted to interact with more locals, see what's the culture, what's the temperature in Barbados really like. And I think in Barbados, we lack in that department. I mean, when we go to other places as well, you get to see it. I mean, Barbados is totally shut down at probably sometimes 9 o'clock. And at 12, you probably got to go to the gas station to get something to eat. So I think that's one of the biggest concerns, especially for someone who loves entertainment, who loves the arts, and someone who also plans events as well. I think in Barbados, I think that industry is really taking a big hit in Barbados.
With the young people now, any concerns or any ideas you have that we can discuss here now, you can share it with Mr. Lashley.
Yes, definitely, especially when it comes to the youth, and pertaining to keeping them occupied and productive. I don't think there's enough development in terms of that area. Like, what happens after they leave school at 3 o'clock or quarter to three or whatever time school finish now these days? Well, what happened to the community? Almost every before we had so many community centers where children could go and study, do some homework, come and have a little conversation, practice drama, do a little art and stuff like that within the communities as well. I think that need to be revitalized or revived within our communities, more community centers for young people. You come, you can send your child, help them with the homework, do some computer studies, whether it's studying AI, whether it could be sports, whether it could be drama, singing, dancing, whatever it can be, but making sure that they have something to do. Because what's going to happen when they come home? Mommy's not home. Mommy's probably out working, father not in the home. Eventually, he's going to go outside and they're going to find themselves in trouble. They're going to find themselves doing mischief, with the idle hands. So keeping it productive, having more community centers involved for these young people, I think that's the most important thing, because young people gravitate towards either when it's males, masculine energy, and when it comes to females, they try to gravitate towards who they believe that they should become. So once you put certain outliners out there that can attract them, I believe that that will help Barbados in the long run. They would start to divert from the block culture within Barbados. And I think it could help even in terms of the entrepreneurship, learning the skill, learning the craft, and then especially when it comes back down to culture, harnessing your talents, whether it could be dancing, whether it could be drama. I don't think we have much tier to schools in Barbados like before. I don't think we have much art schools like before. It's visual arts, I don't care what it is. And I think that definitely needs to be introduced or be revitalized. I remember having it back in the past, but now when I look around, it's very, very, very limited. Even before we even start, one of the most important pillars of any country is its youth and its culture. Anytime you want to know the position and the strength of a country, just look at its culture and look at its youth. So even we start talking about community spirit, the only way you can revive community spirit is by the involvement of youth. Even children run about in the community with who's your mother, who's your father, getting to know each other. It starts like that. It starts with the youth. We was talking about the Hush film. Yes, Hush was very, very instrumental in my life, and then it also transitioned me into dance. And it hurt me because for the past couple of years, I remember Dance Fest selling out the gymnasium, I having so many young people, having so many young men coming off of the blocks and getting involved into dance. Most of them dropped out because it was asking what's next, how this can impact my life, how we can eat off of dancing, and then they got themselves involved in drugs and guns and different stuff along those kind of lines. Some people did not went that direction, but the majority did because they wanted to know what was next. Eventually Dance Fest eventually faded away. The involvement wasn't that strong anymore. Community eventually drift from it. And when you look at it, there's not much. If you had a point right now and say, what is the biggest cultural event that predominantly has youth? What are you going to say? This could do it? It must be something more than that. And Dance Fest was one of them. Dance Fest had thousands and thousands of supporters. And then that even takes so many young men off of the block, got them active into dance, got them involved in acting, got them involved into even visual arts. It got them involved even in not necessarily in terms of the academic side, but for those who probably learn better through touch and feel and kinetics and stuff along those kind of lines. So it hurt me when I look and wonder what is the next step. And I hear so many, even those who play football, how we can eat off of this, I can best go up on the block and try to sell drugs, because they don't know what is the next step. Yeah, we get involved in this. Yeah, we have a talent, but how we gonna eat off of this? How we gonna feed our kids? I think, and that's one of the saddest things, especially when it comes to Dance Fest. Dance Fest had so many youth involved, and even if you was not a dancer, you wanted to become a dancer because you wanted to be part of something. And it's something. It teaches us leadership. It teaches us discipline. It teaches us camaraderie. It teaches us brotherhood. And this here takes you a long way. This here builds you in so many. So somebody may say, "Man, just dance," but no, it's the things that come with it. It's the things that actually developed me along these lines. Even though I was talking about the ambassador program as well. This fast track me the workshops, how to manage time, how to manage your money, how to deal with the media. These things I would have never learned in school, So maybe looking at these things, somebody just dancing, somebody just want to play football. No, it builds so many things in young people. And if we're going to talk about community spirit and revitalizing the community spirit, we must start talking about the youth. We must start talking about what are we going to do in terms of our culture. Because when people come here, they want to see the culture. And we cannot continue to sell rum and rum, sun, and sea. It must be something else. We must invest back into these activities as well. Whether it's dance, whether it's film, whether it's visual arts, whether it's NIFCA, and heavily pay attention to it because it goes a long way. Like for instance, Hush. When I was invited to be part of Hush, that changed my life in a drastic way because when I played in it, eventually I see with Hush film, I see with this and that, and then for the first time, I found myself doing something that I like, and it made me start to think, what really and truly is my purpose? Like, what's the direction I'm looking to take my life? And I just started thinking critically. Because in that time, everybody was just studying about, doctor, lawyer, business owner, stuff along those lines. Yeah, the things to come after. But until you really get the youth and inject them into something they are passionate about, then these things start to follow. So for me, I think it's very, very critical that we really start to look back at some of these things. Dance Fest is what hurt me, especially, thousands and thousands and thousands of children were involved in Dance Fest.
Did you enjoy anything? Did you go out to see anything? And what are your general thoughts about Carrie Festo?
When it first started, I was very unenthusiastic about it. To be honest, I was like, yeah, probably just gonna be same old, same old. As it continued to grow, it grew on me as well. Plus, I say I had some guests who came in from Trinidad. I also wanted to experience the cultural side of it, and really and truly, it shocked me, and it surpassed my expectations. I could say probably it really surpassed my expectations. Yeah, there was some technical difficulties with some of the in the beginning process, but then coming in, I just think the prices was obviously overpriced, especially when it comes to purchasing some of the items and food, but that can be expected.
Mm-hmm.
Especially for those who probably vendors and stuff along those lines. So I can understand that. But in terms of the overall, I can say job well done. I would give Jackie's jacket. I believe, of course, some things can be done, but doing something at that size, you can anticipate that there will be some hiccups. But it surpassed my expectations because my expectations was really low. So that goes to say. But surprisingly, yeah, I could say job well done.